Hey everybody, this is Rocky. I'm here with my friends from favediets.com, and today we're going to be making a delicious vegetable stew. It's going to be nice and hearty with parsnips and carrots. We're going to be using some root vegetables, and what we're going to do is we're going to roast them first to kind of bring out the natural sweetness of them. And then we're going to add some squash, some onions, some beautiful seasonings just to kind of round everything out. So let's get started. Peeling some parsnips. I'm going to cut up my parsnips into bite-sized pieces. Peeling some squash. Now that I've peeled my squash, I just went ahead and cut them in half, and now I'm going to deseed them. So I'm just going to take out the seeds. And then cut them into bite-sized pieces. Now time for the carrots. Normally I'd probably just get a couple of carrots, but I bought this bag of baby carrots that are cut and peeled already for a different recipe, so I figured I'd just snag some carrots from the bag since I'm probably not going to use the whole bag for the other recipe. I'm just going to go ahead and chop them in half just so they're a little bit more like bite-sized pieces. I have my parsnips, squash, and carrots down in a baking pan that I sprayed down with some olive oil spray. What I'm going to do is spray the tops down with some olive oil spray and then put it in my oven at 400 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes. Then I'm just going to dice up some onion. I have a decent size pot right here that I have set on low heat, and I'm going to go ahead and toast up my seasonings. What this is going to do is it's going to allow to bring out the natural flavors and the oils of the seasonings that I'm going to toast up. So I'm going to put in my pan a little bit of sweet paprika, some cayenne pepper, some cumin, and a little bit of cinnamon. Basically, your nose will tell you when this is done, when you start to really smell the aromas of the seasonings. It should only take about 2 minutes or so. I think my seasonings have toasted up, and as I said before, your nose will tell you when this is done. It should only take about 2 minutes, but you're going to smell the sweetness and just the aromas that come out once you start toasting up the oils from the seasoning is amazing. So what I'm going to do is transfer this onto a plate and move on to the rest of my recipe. In the same pot, I just shot it down with some olive oil spray, and I have my heat set at medium. I'm going to go ahead and put in my onions. I'm also going to add in a little bit of minced garlic. I'll just cook until my onions become translucent. While my onions are cooking, I'm just going to go ahead and chop up some nice fresh cilantro. So I just tossed into my pan the baking sheet of roasted vegetables, you know, the parsnips, the squash, and the carrots, and then I also just dumped in a can of diced tomatoes that I drained. Next up, I'm going to add a can of garbanzo beans that I've also drained. I'm going to put in about 2 cups of chicken broth. I'm also going to go ahead and add in the toasted spices that I had set aside. And I'm going to let this come to a boil. Okay, this is now just starting to come to a boil. What I'm going to also do is put in a packet of Truvia, just to add a little bit of sweetness. I don't know, when I like the balance of when I put cinnamon in a dish, to balance it off a little bit with some sweetness. And that will also help cut the tartness of the tomatoes that I placed in. And now that this is coming to a boil, what I'm going to do is cover it for about 10 minutes. I'm also going to bring down the heat so it can simmer. My stew is simmering and it is smelling delicious. I'm going to go ahead and add in a couple of pinches of sea salt. And then also add in the chopped cilantro. Give this a nice little stir. And I'm going to let it simmer uncovered for about another 10 minutes or so. Serving it up. Wow. The flavor combinations in this are just, I mean, they're delicious. You have the sweetness from the roasted vegetables, you know, the parsnips and the carrots, also the squash. That also adds a little bit of heartiness. The chickpeas that also add heartiness. Just everything together just blends so nicely. And then you have the seasoned, like the sweet paprika and the cinnamon. So good. And you just add a little bit of sweetener just to kind of like bring everything together. Just such an interesting flavor combination. And it was so simple. Yeah, it took a couple of different steps, but in the end it was simple, and it's going to be so worth it. No bread or meat required or necessary. This is good. Alright, so if anybody has any questions, just go ahead and shoot them below. The nutritional facts, pictures, full recipe will be on my blog spot, which I'll link to below. And until next time, enjoy. Bye!